I have never seen you this excited about a game patch before, but the new Stardew Valley marriage candidates is going to allow you to marry a whole bunch of different people in the game. And I know you've sunk like what 5,000 hours into the game. Finally,
6, but thank you. Yeah,
you can marry different people in there. I assume they provide different benefits. I'm not sure what kind of farming bonuses they give you, but
well, the benefit of love. I mean, come on, there doesn't need to be any more benefit than that.
Yeah,
of companionship.
Stardew Valley is like one of those funny games where you're like, this game is so ridiculously huge, and it's not. People just keep playing it. They keep adding to it and keep playing. Now, do you think you're gonna get another 1,000 hours out of it with the marriage stuff?
At least, yes.
Yeah.
Because then you have to marry everyone, right?
Can you have kids in that game? I don't know.
I have no idea. I played a little bit of Stardew, but I didn't put a ton of time into it.
Gotcha.
Jokes aside, I haven't put a ton of time into that game.
Fair enough. I do know a lot of people that just it's like their chill out game because I don't think you get like you can fight things in it or no?
There's combat, there's like a dungeon that you go into and you get resources in there, but yeah, it's very chill experience.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just farming.
Yep.
Well, I mean, man, dude, I want to talk about Marathon. Do you want to talk about Marathon?
Good. We can talk about Marathon.
I mean, okay, so Bungie released Marathon in a server slam event leading up to the launch of the game, which is happening in I guess when this podcast goes live, like a day, launching on the 5th. And it had
welcome to the podcast, by the way. Great to have you all here.
Thank you for dropping by, everybody, for the Level With Me podcast. Man, I just so Marathon, what struck me about it first is visually, it's unlike any game I've ever played. Like, it really stands out. For better or for worse.
Yeah, depending on who you ask, yeah.
Yeah, that does seem to be a point of conversation about it. I think the world building in it is actually really competent. Like, I want to know more about.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
But I will say, Bungie, can you cool it with the moths and the regurgitating, whatever I don't even know what's going on. Can we stop with that, please? The loading screens need to simmer down.
Yeah. I will agree with that. We were playing it together, and when you load into a match, there's only 2, maybe 3 different cutscenes that they'll play as you're loading cutscene. And it's just, they're kind of on loops. And one of them is just a moth just crawling on the face of this synthetic person or something.
I don't mind that one as much. The one where it gets real close in and starts.
It's eating stuff. Yeah,
it's eating, and then there's larvae, and they're squirming around, and it's all moist and it's disturbing, and I think it's meant to be disturbing, but it repeats it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's a fine video for if you're getting updated on the lore at some point.
Yeah.
But to see it every single time you load into a game, you're like, all right, can we get out of, can we just chill with the creepy, weird close-up shots, the macro shots of weird pulsing insect things?
We'll get to that later with Resident Evil 9 discussion.
Yes, indeed. So a lot of people dropped by to play the server slam. It felt pretty stable. I don't think I had any crashes. My performance was all right. I know some people were having issues with performance. I didn't have any issues with performance. I did have a weird thing with my mouse not liking the interface at points. Apparently I was not the only one. It was a little window that popped up when you loaded the game. They're like, if you're having mouse issues, try these things. For the most part, it worked fine. There was only a few games where I stopped being able to loot stuff properly, and then was like, oh, okay, well, not much to do in a looter shooter when you can't loot. But
right.
The performance was good. I think we all agreed that the gunplay was great.
I think the strongest part was the gunplay. Absolutely. Weapons, I think they said they wanted the weapons to feel familiar, and they did, because they pretty much just straight ripped the mechanics from Destiny. And there's weapons that are almost a 1-for-1 from Destiny 2. And Destiny has some of the best weapon mechanics, I think, out there. So why not just basically transform on over? And it works. Weapons are punchy. They feel great. I feel like there could be some balance issues. Did you ever come across anyone using a shotgun before?
Yeah, well, I used the shotgun, Matt, and the shotgun was good. I was surprised how quickly the shotgun deleted people.
Yeah.
We fought
a little
party.
too good, in my opinion.
We ended up getting the drop on a group of players that we were fighting, and when we were looting them, I noticed every single one of them was carrying a shotgun. And I was like, okay, I think they're up on the meta. I think they know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's basic weapon balance stuff. You got to figure it out. Shotguns OP. It's kind of what's happening in Ark, right? They nerfed a bunch of guns, and now everybody's using the Toro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, but like it was actually this I think segues quite nicely. I feel like, and I know this might be a point of contention for some because some people really like the time to kill, but I feel like the time to kill right now, when everyone's using green shields, maybe some blues here and there, was a little bit too fast. The entire game has classes, and you have healer class, kind of more of a support. You've got a tank who can bring up like a shield and everything, and that's all really cool. But when you die in the blink of an eye, what's the point of a class, right?
Yeah.
Why even have a shield up when you round the corner and it's like there's no decision making in the firefight? It's, did I kill them fast enough, or did they drop me instantly? So I felt like, well, I don't want it to be as long, like insanely longer, just a little bit more breathing room to kind of make a decision, right?
I can agree with that, and especially in solos, where you can get surprised in a game of trios, and then your teammates can get you back up if they manage to fend off whoever's attacking. But in solos, I had a couple moments where I didn't hear anyone sneak up behind me, but somebody got right next to me before I noticed. I was looting, and then just dead. Not even enough time to turn around, react, any of that. And
not even enough time to get out of the looting screen. You were just instantly dead. Yeah.
And I did that to a few people as well in solos, and I kind of felt bad. So I think I tend to agree. It feels good deleting people quickly, but I would also rather, I'd be willing to give them more of a saving grace if I got that in return,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to agree that has been one of the hotter topics discussed about the game is TTK.
They did acknowledge it too, which is cool. They may not make any changes, and they probably won't, because, this was just a server slam. And as I said, some people really liked it. Some people like the fact that you can 1v3 another team if you got the accuracy and the aim to be able to come out on top. You can't really 1v3 in a game like Arc Raiders. There's going to be a lot of comparisons to Arc Raiders, right? Because that's kind of like the game now. So you can like that, you can dislike it. It's not inherently wrong. Another good point is that we're using, bad shields. We're not using great shields. And so maybe further along, once you get like purple, or maybe there's even higher than that, you won't die so quickly. Though I have heard from people that have gotten those shields that it's still pretty damn instant. It's still really, really quick. But another counterpoint is you'll be getting other better loot that will probably make you more lethal. So even though you technically have more shields or health,
you're going to get better guns.
You've got weapons you're going against now that will just drop you even faster. So it's, could equal out. We'll see.
Yeah. The good thing is that Bungie has an open discussion going with the community right now. And they've already posted that they're looking at TTK. They're looking at adding a dedicated duos mode, since if you match in duos, you get matched with trios. This was a Arc Raiders problem as well. And so, getting that stuff in there. It sounds like they're taking some changes. They're taking some steps to make the appropriate changes leading up to launch and post launch. The things that I liked about the game the most were its visuals. I thought its visuals were really cool. Maybe not for the interface. The interface was kind of clunky and a little too, when you're trying to manage your inventory and you're like, why am I squinting? Because you're just getting blasted with hyper contrasted colors and stuff. That doesn't feel great, but the game world looking so wild, I really like that. The buildings just looking like, here's a giant red factory. I don't know what it does, but it's weird looking and all this. And here's some crazy anomalous stuff coming out of the ground. You can see the moons in the sky. You can see the marathon ship up there. You can it just looked cool. It does feel alien. It does feel bizarre.
I agree. I think the aesthetic is nice. controversial for some because some people aren't liking
it's out
the
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is out there. And I like that it's doing something different. I like that they're not just, because they could have played the safe route and done something conventional just like everyone else has been doing. And so the fact that they tried something new, I respect, even if it might not be for everyone. The UI, though, for like when you're managing your inventory, oh boy. It's not that like the UI inherently, because like you have the armory, you have your loadout, your vault, like that's all pretty easy to understand, right? Like those different tabs. But then when you get into those tabs, there's some quality of life and stuff where I'm like, why can't I just click on this area and then it bring up like the loot that I can put into that slot, right? Like a shield or something, right?
Yeah.
But also, man, trying to distinguish what goes into what, especially when it comes to weapon attachments and armor perks and stuff.
The weapon attachment thing was really annoying. Really annoying.
I was like, this one does this. And I'm like, okay, if I'm in the middle of a firefight or if I need to pick something up really quickly and then get out, like there's no way I'm going to know what is good for me. It's great that it's going to, I think, allow for a lot of like variety and a lot of class building where you can really kind of tailor it to your play style. But also, like, man, there's just so much of it that it's going to be hard, I feel like, to parse in a match quickly to get in and get out.
We were talking about the icons for the items while we were playing, where it's like, okay, so they have like a weapon compensator, but that weapon compensator doesn't fit into every weapon compensator slot that has the same icon symbol.
It also doesn't look like a weapon compensator. Like nothing usually in the game, like sort of like, but I definitely mistook a mag for a grip once, right?
Sure.
I was like, oh, okay, no, that's actually a grip, not a mag, right?
Yeah.
And that, as you said, it only goes into certain slots and certain weapons. So continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I did.
Yeah, no, and so the visual identification of the mods is tricky, but also they don't have different symbology where it's like, okay, maybe a light compensator could go on a light weapon. Then I would know that that compensator is meant for that. So you put like a light compensator symbol or a compensator level 1 symbol or whatever. And then you could have a medium compensator or a heavy compensator. And those are specific for specific guns. But in this, you have to like mouse over it and you got to like read the description. And then it tells you all the weapons that it can fit onto. And then you have to look at your weapon. You're like, what is this weapon? Okay. And okay, yeah, does it fit? No. Or you just try and drag it over and it's like, nope. So there's a lot of like little UI stuff. In Marathon's defense, I'll say so many battle royales and extraction shooters have the same problem, and you just get over it by learning the game and learning the
game.
items.
Yeah, it's just a learning curve, and that can be the fun of it.
Yeah, so I won't say that it's necessarily significantly worse than some of the games we've gotten before. It's just that they had an opportunity to make it easier, and they didn't. Yeah.
Though I will say, like, the looting in general for like scavenging around, while enjoyable, I have like, so in Arc Raiders, like I said, we're gonna make a lot of comparisons to it. When you go into a room, you're like, oh, it's a blue item, and I know it's gonna be somewhat decent in terms of value because it's blue. Yeah. It's also, it's a stapler. I know what a stapler is. I know what a bolt is. I know what a gasoline can is. And then in this, it's like diodes and biomass, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. There's definitely a disconnect where it's not as familiar because of it, and so I found
you want some staplers on Tau Ceti 4.
Yeah, I needed more staplers. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't take me too long to figure it out because you just get missions that's like, you need 20 diodes to upgrade this, whatever.
Right.
And I mean, I would argue that in Arc Raiders, okay, I know what a rusty gear is in real life. In Arc Raiders, it's used for very specific things that you would have no idea what it's used for until you get to the mission that needs it or craft something that needs it. So, I feel like it's almost the same thing. It's just we're just dealing with totally sci-fi items.
That is fair. I just the point I was trying to make is I think because it's on Earth and they're earthly things that we've interacted with more, it's a lot easier for us to understand, like, at a glance, like, oh, I know what that's for, and I know what that is, and I know kind of the value of something like that. I know a motor is going to be more valuable than a gear or what have you, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know what cracks me up about sci-fi games is like, okay, so the story of Marathon is that this is a giant colony ship. The reason why it's got a planet around it is because they built it out of the Deimos, which is the moon of Mars. So they used the moon to build a whole ship, launched it to Tau Ceti, which is, I guess, one of the closer systems that has a Earth-like planet on it.
Okay.
We get here. This is massively in the future. The original story of Marathon takes place, I believe, when the ship is in transit. So there's all kinds of you're running into aliens and super AI and cybernetic soldiers and all this crazy stuff going on. Even time parallel universe and time fracturing and stuff like that. Because there's 3, I think, original Marathon games from the 90s that cover all this stuff. So you get to the planet and then we're on the planet and it's like, all right, here's your machine gun. You're like, come on, guys. We're
oh yeah.
We're traveling. We're interstellar traveling. Give me a mind weapon to blow up that dude over there or something. You know what I'm saying?
A mind pistol.
I know that they have to do guns because it is an FPS and people need to see the bullets go into the chamber and then it go pow and you see the bullet go and then that makes us happy. But it is funny from a science fiction perspective where we've got all this crazy tech, super AI and all this stuff. We can literally transport consciousness into a synthetic body. And then when you die, that consciousness can be zapped into another one. We're still shooting each other with 9mm,
Yep.
I just find it funny.
That is funny. That is a good contrast.
Yeah. But they got to do it. I get it. You got to do it. So we were talking about this while we're playing. I feel like some of my biggest gripes with Marathon could be quite easy fixes in that literally just opening up a game file and being like, instead of spawning 9 players on a map, spawn 20 or however many you need to increase the amount of times you run into enemies. We had rounds where we didn't see or hear anyone and we were there for a while.
Yeah, the PvP when it happened was fun, but it did seem to be quite sparse. Though I would have some games where I within the first 2 minutes would spawn and there was action. So I don't know. It did feel quite random because I did play another day after the time that we played together, and the PvP I felt like it was a good balance the second time around. So I don't know if it was because they did something on their end. I don't know if it was because players they did come out and say that the reason why there isn't a lot of action is because people are dying to the bots. And they're literally because the bots are hard. We can talk about that.
It's true.
The bots are they'll kick your ass, dude. They're no joke. In
solos, I saw multiple people die to turrets and bots and stuff.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, I guess I'll just go loot that guy who just got owned by a bunch of robots. But I'd hear the firing in the distance, run just in time to see them get killed by the bots. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess the bots got him.
Yep.
Yeah, the AI are hard. There's a lot of them. They move quicker than you suspect when they get in close range. They charge you, and then you're like, oh crap, I thought this wasn't going to happen. And then they own you. You think you can melee them down. Your melee does jack to them.
You can do it against the weaker ones. It takes 2 melees for the gray ones with gray shields, but you go against anything with green or higher, and it's you're going to be smacking them for a while, and then they're going to be smacking you.
Yeah. The AI is challenging. I think it's pretty much impossible to argue that it's more fun to fight the AI in Marathon compared to Arc Raiders. The Arc Raiders AI is just so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Not
only I think just from a thematic standpoint, but also it's a bot. It's a lot harder, I feel at a glance to know oh, that's a player or oh, that's a UESC bot, right?
Right.
That's one thing I really appreciate about Arc Raiders is you with 100% know certainty that is a player.
Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, I think Bungie has a pretty good history of making engaging, fun, entertaining AI to fight against. That's always been something that they've been decent at. I won't say that they've been amazing or something, but Halo was ahead of its time in terms of having fun, interesting FPS mechanics with AI enemies. These ones aren't bad. They're just not amazing. And if you're supposed to spend this much time fighting AI, The real difficulty, in my opinion, just comes from them being kind of bullet spongy. The higher level ones are more bullet spongy. Yeah.
They can overwhelm you. They can definitely do that. But you're right. There's not a ton of variety. There's ones that stealth, ones that have grenades, ones that have shields that you have to punch through. But the theme of most of them is they've got a lot of HP.
Yeah. There are those little alien bugs that pop.
Yeah, true.
Well, I wonder if we're going to see more alien stuff as things progress. Because that'd be a cool angle to get away from the standard, here's a bipedal robot with a shotgun and it's going to shoot at you. Yeah, that can only take you so far. It was pretty easy to get back into it if you got killed and wiped. Like the free kits were pretty generous, I felt. And you can get guns off of the bots that you fight. So even if you drop in with a single weapon, you can get a second weapon super quickly. So it felt pretty quick to get kitted up. That's a pretty big difference between this and, say, Arc Raiders, in that you can get your free kit in Arc, but like if you spawn with just the single shot sniper in Arc Raiders, like PvP is going to be pretty challenging for you. Like you could try it, but you're going to lose to anybody who's got two weapons and is moderately competent. So it seems like Marathon's trying to get you back in the action pretty quickly. I don't dislike that, actually. It seems like a big portion of the game is about getting you to progress through the different missions and the quests that reveal the story. And
and there actually does seem to be a bit of a story here, which is cool.
Yeah. You're supposed to eventually be able to get to the Marathon ship itself.
I think it's going to be a level.
Yeah.
A map. Yeah.
Which sounds cool.
Sounds very cool.
I like the story so far. I do think it's interesting. I don't love how it's told through all the little mission blurbs in between. They're like, Syndicate, whatever, wants this. And you're like, okay, but you sort of don't really have a good context for who they are.
You do get a little bit more context if you listen to what's going on in a mission. So if you do the story, they'll be like, you'll go up to, which is still a blurb, but you'll go up to like a box and you'll hack in. And then your AI, whatever, I can't remember her name, will say something
Oni.
like kind of give you context. Yeah, Oni. So there, or like a video will play and gives you a little bit more. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it is going to be basically through dialogue from the merchants. Yeah.
Oni is a reference to Bungie's old game, Oni. Did you ever play that one?
I did not know.
It's like an anime, melee brawler FPS game. It's wild. It was so weird when it came out. Wild. Yeah, Bungie was just like, we want to make this game. And it was totally out of the blue and totally unrelated to anything else they had made. And they never made another one, so I assume it didn't do that well. But it was interesting. I played it. I liked it. I thought it was decent.
You're old.
What can I've got a DVD of it around here somewhere, or maybe a CD. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I got my old Oni CD somewhere. I want Marathon to do well because I think the visuals and the narrative and all that stuff are really cool. And I want to see that evolve, and I want to see them refine and perfect this game. I think it's definitely rough around the edges right now when it comes to balance and pacing. And when we were playing, I was saying like, it's really hard to track other players because the range at which you hear their gunshots is like 150-ish meters. We were testing it.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
So like you could miss another team entirely if they're just 150 meters away having a full-on firefight. You won't hear them. So
yep.
I guess it kind of reduces the amount of third partying that could occur in the game, but also it reduces the amount of just running into players. All of those types of things are like, they're really just adjusting dials, right? They don't have to invent some new tech to dial that in. You adjust the dial for the TTK, you adjust the dial for the audio range of weapons. All small changes like that, I think, could massively improve the pacing of this game. So I really want them to dial that stuff in, and I really want to see where this story goes, because I do think it's kind of top tier sci-fi writing. Like I really do like it. I really do
it's cool.
Like the world. And I hope, and they've just taken such a risky package to sort of tell this interesting story through, which is an extraction shooter, and an extraction shooter going up against one of the most successful extraction shooters of all time in its prime. You're like, okay, good luck with that.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if, say, Arc Raiders was just never a thing? Like Embark made something else and it was whatever, and now Marathon comes out with
now we're getting
no
Marathon.
Arc Raiders.
I don't know. It would probably be, because obviously there's a lot of resistance right now. The internet seems to want, some part of the internet wants this game to fail for whatever reason. There was the whole art theft that happened. That obviously a pretty big blemish on Bungie there. But I feel like it would still be getting some resistance, because extraction shooters, even though there hasn't really been a lot of successful ones, has been the kind of the game mode that a lot of companies have been pushing lately. And I think there's already fatigue of a game mode that hasn't really, I don't even think, gone to his prime. I think now we're reaching that point where it's like, okay, we've got some successful ones now, like Arc Raiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even when Arc Raiders was announced and they said that they were going to be shifting to an extraction, I remember people going, "Oh no, not another extraction game!"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I was so excited for the PvE game." It's
I was one of those people. Also, I was like, "Dang it, I'm not excited for this anymore."
Exactly. So I think that it would probably maybe be doing a little bit better in the public, eye of like, "Hey, this is something new. This is something different." But I don't know if it would be doing much better in, just because of its theme, just because of the game mode.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, you got any like kind of closing thoughts on Marathon? You played it a bunch.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time. What's that?
Are you going to play it more before?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, when it comes out, so I'll be playing at release. The server slam is officially over now, I believe.
Oh, did it end today? Okay.
Yeah, it ended today. I liked my time. One thing I wasn't aware of until like probably too late is that loot gets better progressively the longer you are in a match and doing like events and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not necessarily rushing to go to hotspots. Like there'll be points of interest where there'll be loot and better, potentially we'll find some good stuff. But what really matters is doing like events and then staying in that event and do like tackling like more and more reinforcements will come, and it'll be progressively harder and harder. And so that's how you start to get like the better stuff, right? For example, there was this containment zone, this perimeter. We saw it a couple of times. We didn't really know how to interact with it, but it will come down and it will lock you out of an area. And if you go into that area, it does a ton of damage to you. And if you don't have the right setup, I think if you have to basically pop like a consumable, which will allow you to stay inside of that containment area to not take any damage. And then you can fight the hordes of bots in there, and it will get progressively harder and harder, and then that's how you get some really good loot. So it's the events that really provide the progression there, which I think is an interesting way of handling it.
I like the idea of loot getting better the longer you're in a match. That's like a cool incentive to stick around. And it's different than the traditional like find something good, get out as quickly as possible approach.
Yeah. And I think there will still be a little bit of that, but I didn't really experience the progressive loot too much because I was either playing solo or I was playing with lads where we were just doing the quest because we're just kind of approaching it how you would approach any other extraction shooter where you just assume that loot will be. So I only realized this kind of after the fact. So I don't have like a lot of firsthand experience, but then when I looked back on it, I was like, oh yeah, no, that does make sense because like we would call in like the hacking terminal or we would do this and that, and then we would get some decent loot out of it. So I was like, okay, I can see why people are making that claim. So yeah, I had fun with it. I don't think it rises for me personally to the same heights as Arc Raiders. But at the same time, I have like 200 hours in Arc Raiders, and they haven't added a lot of content, so this is a new game to play, and I plan on checking it out.
Yeah. Do you think it's I think it's going to have some legs at launch, more legs than people are on the internet want it to, or some people do, whatever the fail crowd wants. I don't think Marathon's going to like come out and like all of a sudden just the player base is going to evaporate. I think there will be more people here to play it and see where it goes. And I hope that Bungie can make some quick changes to it to like get the flow and pacing good. And then as we've seen with Ark, right? Ark is even Ark with as great a game as it is still dependent on a good content flow, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's been quite slow for Ark Raiders. To be fair, it has been quite slow.
Yeah. They've done a lot with a little in Ark Raiders.
Yes. Yeah. And they've done a good job with it.
Yeah. So it sounds like Marathon has its plans for all this extra levels and fun stuff to do. Hopefully they can get a player base interested in the game and then get that content coming out at a decent pace so that people are like, oh, did you see the Marathon level? It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, so I think there's only gonna be like 4 maps at release. At least that's kind of, which seems not great. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of maps. My hope is that they've got something up their sleeve. I remember when they were originally promoting this game and talking about this game about how there's going to be a lot of secrets that you're going to need to discover, and you're going to need to like, there's going to be players are going to unlock maps, and there'll be like a big thing they have to go through to unlock a map, and they'll be like the first one to do it, and they'll be like memorialized within the game and stuff like that. I'm like, that's really cool. It's like, do you still have those plans? Is that still something where there's going to be a lot of secrets and there's going to be like things that people will just come across, and then maybe in a week, without even announcing things, they'll add like a big thing to the game and people will just discover it organically, like what they were doing with Destiny Quest and stuff like that.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool. But this is a lot of potential just copium of like an hopium of them having a lot ready to go. But you would hope that a big AAA studio like Bungie would have something up their sleeve. So we'll see.
I saw an article trying to break down how much, how many copies they need to sell to break even. Because I think they were saying that the game costs like $250 million so far or something, which is pretty, that's a lot of freaking money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
So I hope it's not so like they like the numbers of units sold were like in the tens of millions. Like it was a lot where you're like, okay, hopefully they can.
I think I saw that too. It was like 8 to 10 million, something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that number's accurate or if it was just speculation, but, yeah, they got their work cut out for them, but I really do want to see where Marathon goes because it kind of has this fun old school vibe, and the original Marathons are kind of like the narrative stuff in them is like what you're experiencing in Halo and Destiny. It's like those same ideas that Marathon set up, and they're like, well, we still love these ideas. Let's just explore them more in these other games that we have. And now they're finally coming back around to one of their OG sci-fi games that like kind of started everything for them.
Yeah.
And I grew up playing Bungie games, and I think we all know that if Marathon really doesn't do well, that could be bad news for Bungie in the long run. So
it could, yeah.
Maybe there's some of that speaking when I say I really want Marathon to do well. I'm sure there is some of that, but I do want it to do well. I want to see where the game goes. And I enjoyed my time in it so far, but I can't deny that my pull to play Ark Raiders versus my pull to jump back in for another round of Marathon are on different levels. It's not to say that both games couldn't exist, but it's tough when they're trying to scratch the same itch, and one of them is, they got the Back Scratcher 3000,
Damn.
Back Scratcher 3000. That was a good analogy, huh?
It's great analogy.
Thank you. Shall we segue into Resident Evil? My good
I
sir.
would love to, yeah. Did you have a chance to play it at all?
I played it. I did play it for a sponsored video.
Did you
normally
beat it? I have not beaten it yet.
No, I did not beat it.
Okay.
I normally don't play horror games because I don't like to have heart palpitations while I'm trying to entertain myself. This game is scary. It's scary as all heck. It's just like creeping around a dark environment with a freaking lighter. You're like, what's that? What's that? What's that sound? What's that? And then a giant thing pops out of somewhere and bites your head off. You're like, cool. I love adrenaline.
How far did you get into it? Just so I have a gauge of like, without spoiling anything. How far did you get?
Not far. I got to the first encounter with, I don't even know what to say.
Okay.
The night nurse. We'll just call her that.
Okay. Okay. So you played for how many hours did you play? That'd be a better question.
Maybe 2.
Okay. That gives me a good idea.
2-ish.
Fair enough.
The sponsor thing didn't want me to go past a certain point, and
that's completely fair.
Basically, after the amount of adrenaline I had in my body, I was like, I'm gonna chill for a while. I do want to see where the story goes, because I'm like, dang it, I like this. Like, I really like playing as Grace. I think she's really like, it's fun. It's horrifying. Playing as Leon is less scary because you're just blowing stuff up and whatever. So I found him a little bit more boring, but like the Grace stuff is just like, you're just so in the environment and so like perceptive of every little thing going on. It really is fun. I just also don't love the constant adrenaline that.
So what's kind of funny is that I completely agree. The beginning of the game is 100% just horror. It's, you play as Grace, you get called, this is the setup of the game, so I'm not really spoiling anything. But she's an FBI agent, and she is supposed to go to a building where some people have died, and she needs to investigate. Lo and behold, of course, the building is abandoned, and there's no light inside, and there's creepy things that happen inside, and, you know, Resident Evil happens, right?
Yeah.
But it's pure just horror at the start, and it doesn't really give you any tools to be able to fight back. It eventually, and I think beyond the point that you get to, you actually start to get some power. You get like guns, and you get like, it turns into your like, you know, your typical Resident Evil experience. But I just wanted to highlight that start. I think is so flawlessly executed for pacing and like map design and everything. Because not only do they just get you, I think, with the horror elements of like rising the anxiety, and then they release it with like switching to Leon, which I thought was really great, where it's like, oh man, I'm anxious, I hate this. And they're like, well, how about you punch some zombies in the face with a badass? And then you just, you know, you're kicking ass with Leon, and they're like, okay, you feeling better? Well, now time to piss your pants again, because you're back to Grace, right? So the pacing I thought was phenomenal. But then they have like the way that they introduce like mechanics, like they do in most games, but like you're in a hallway and you're just kind of going back and forth in this hallway. But the way like you're interacting with the enemies within that confined area and the spooks that happen was perfect. And at least for my experience, it was just so good.
No, it's incredible. I mean, like horror games I'll watch a horror movie if it's really highly recommended. But I tend to avoid horror games, even if they are highly recommended, because they are so much more scary than a horror movie. Because
you're the one interacting with it.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, should I turn left or right? Oh, I bit my head off. You know, you're in charge of whether or not you live or die. And at least in a movie, you're like, don't go in there. Oh, they went in there. Now they're going to die. And in the game, you're like, well, I don't want to go in there. And the game's like, yeah, but you want the key, right? You want to get that key.
You want to progress, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right, fellas?
The key's in there. It's a little dark. Uh-oh, did your flashlight run out of batteries while you're looking for the key? Uh-oh, what was that sound? And you're just like, come on, man. Come on. It is so well done. The graphics also are just like peak.
Fantastic.
They are so good.
Yeah. What's cool too is the zombies. So the zombies return. And they're actually individual zombies now, where they have like unique assets and they're like a unique model, because it's, without getting into like spoilers, they're just people that have turned into zombies that were at work. And so you just have people that you would expect, like a chef or a butcher and things like that, right? And then they're unique for that area, which is really, I thought, a nice touch.
Yeah.
The one thing is the FOV is quite small, is quite narrow. It is I ramped very mine narrow up FOV.
First thing I did, I was like, oh, I can move it up 10%. Great.
Oh, I heard you couldn't even change like the FOV at all.
You can change it, but it's a small adjustment.
Yeah, it's very small increment. Well, I need to do that then, because it's very narrow. People modded it, and if you try to extend it beyond that, things don't line up in first person, and it looks weird. So it was a design choice, right? They were like, we're optimizing, and we're going to make sure that it works within this confine, right? So for people that get motion sickness with narrow FOV, I could see this being a little frustrating, because it's very confined.
I played it on controller to help smooth out the camera motion and stuff like that.
Okay.
That was and I think it was fine from that perspective. And I think that's probably an angle that they're thinking about, since Resident Evil is console first game and is only now becoming a PC available game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It's cool though. It reminds me of, I mean, I did play the OG Resident Evil games with like my friends when we were in like high school and stuff. And yeah, they scared the crap out of us back then too. We'd like couch co-op those and like switch off from levels and stuff. I'm like, oh God, don't go in there. Oh, it's over there. Get it, you know? And like, this felt like that to a degree where it's like, there's some horrifying creature or monster. You rarely have enough stuff to deal with it, or like you have to sneak around it or run around it or whatever. And like, it's a great setup for just terrifying you and making you go, oh God, I'm being chased by something giant. And
yeah,
God, the motion capture and the character acting in it are so good. Also, like,
Grace's voice actor does an incredible job. She's very good.
It's peak. I won't say that like no games have done this before, because they have, but there's a huge difference between games that put a lot of effort into conveying all the emotions in the characters' faces and stuff. And I mean, like this game really didn't have many moments where I was like, oh, they can't show me her full range of emotions because she's a 3D model. Like, no, you see it all in her face. You see all the horror, all the terror, and it's pretty cool. Like, they really have hit that point where they're getting past the uncanny valley to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was equally impressed. And especially, like I said, with the voice actress, there's scenes where you would expect a character to be like making certain noises and, you know, and it's like, okay. And she's making those noises where I'm like, God damn, this hits so much harder because the performance, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm getting chills because it's scary, but also because of what the actress is bringing to the table. And so far, I think she is killing it. Grace, in my opinion, is the best part of the game so far for me. I haven't finished yet though.
Yeah, I would agree in that. Like I said, I really like playing Grace versus Leon, because Leon just seemed like typical video game action hero character. Yeah, less interested in his story, and his gameplay is a little more boilerplate. And then Grace, you're just like, okay, she seems like a real person. She is also terrified, just like you. So you're like, I relate to you a lot. I also don't want to be here. And then, so yeah, it just makes it so much more enjoyable, man.
It really feels like this game is an accumulation of like all they've learned over the years, because they then they kind of just smushed everything together. The pacing between Grace and bouncing between her and Leon, like I said, to kind of like mix up the pacing and everything.
You're probably
like that was really
right about that. I didn't think about that much. Where I'm like, I enjoy Grace more, but yeah, I might need that reprieve from playing Grace for a while. Yeah.
Also, like the difference in terms of like the tone too, like Leon's constantly making quips and stuff like that. Like he's like a CSI Miami character, you know, where he's just, you know, just making the dumbest like cliche, you know, like schlock, not schlock. What's the word? What's a good word for it? But just he's very just
quippy?
over the top with his exactly. So I really like that about him.
And he's got a shotgun pistol thing or whatever that just blows things apart, you know.
It's a very different game with Leon, but I think it works well because it gives you a good contrast between the two. So I think the game is fantastic. I think this is, in my opinion, I'm in the honeymoon phase right now, but I think this is one of the better Resident Evil games that they've made personally.
Yeah. Have you seen the memes where it's like playing Grace versus playing Leon, and it's like, what's that action movie with Keanu Reeves in it? I'm trying to think of. John Wick.
Oh, John Wick.
It's like John Wick just blowing people apart, and then it's like the mom from The Shining, like being terrified in like.
Oh, I did see that one.
Bathroom.
Yeah,
it's like they keep making those memes. I'm like, that's pretty funny. Like
that is good.
Yeah. Well, shall we move on to other gaming stuff?
Sounds good.
Okay. I assume you heard about, I can't remember if we talked about it, but did you hear about Bluepoint getting shut down? Sony's studio, Bluepoint.
I did, yeah.
Well known for being a remake studio and making some really beloved remakes. So, like the story behind it, which is getting even worse now that more information has come out. But basically, the story behind it was that Sony acquired them and then were like, hey, don't make remakes, make some standalone multiplayer game or whatever. And then they, I guess they didn't like it, so they just canceled it, shut the studio down. But Bluepoint was pitching games to Sony, and one of the games that they pitched to them was a Bloodborne remake, which people have been like screaming about forever. They've been
long time.
Yeah. Long time. It's possibly one of the most requested Sony remakes at this point. Like I just keep hearing about it. And so like when that story broke where they're like, wait a minute. So they shut down Bluepoint because they made them work on games that they weren't known for. They were known for doing remakes. And Sony was like, nah, make a multiplayer action game or whatever. And then that they had proposed to do a Bloodborne remake. And Sony was like, nah, we don't need that.
Well, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, there's a lot of irony because I think what happened is they picked up. I don't even think they had Bluepoint before then, but they requested they have them make the Demon Souls remake, and it was pretty good. Some people were a little bit conflicted with its like the tone of it a little bit, like the aesthetic differences between the original game and the new and the remake because it's a little brighter. Have you seen the meme where it's like the original is all dark and gritty and everything, and then the remake's all like, well, you can see everything now because it's HD, right?
Yeah.
And so people kind of had that criticism for the remake, but in general, I think it was a fairly positive remake, and people really liked it. And so I could be getting my timeline mixed up, but then they bought Bluepoint and then made them work on these other titles like you were describing, these live service games, and then disbanded them even before they could even make anything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like, just seems very mismanaged on the part of Sony, like 100% on Sony on this one.
They've shut down a ton of studios that were like 70% of the way through a project that Sony had requested that they make. And you're just like, well, what are you doing then? And these weren't just like, I've heard from insider sources too on these where they're like, yeah, these studios were hitting all their deadlines. They weren't behind schedule. They were getting like A+ reviews at each point where they're like, yeah, looking great, guys, keep it up, And then just like one day shut down because Sony was like, budgeting decision,
Yeah.
You're just like, wait, what? The studio is doing everything you asked them to do, and then you shut them down.
I remember what I was going to say. So they proposed Bloodborne, and then apparently, and it's now been reported, Sony approved it, but Miyazaki and From Software did not approve it. They said that they wanted to have control, and they wanted to do, if they were going to do a remake, they wanted to be the ones that did it.
I read the story before that information had dropped, so they must
that's what I heard. Okay. And if that's true, like it makes sense because From Software, it's like, hey, we want to have a good relationship with one of the best gaming developers out there. We don't want to like piss them off and be like, no, we're just going to do it anyways, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows what the legality is behind all that, right? Like in terms of rights.
Yeah,
but Sony actually just override them, right?
You don't piss off From Software, right? If they're like one of the biggest title makers for your platform.
Yeah. Right. I think the bigger thing is why is Sony want that live service money, and they have done everything they can to apparently try and get a game that will fit that niche.
Yeah.
Rumors were they were working on a God of War for Bluepoint.
Yeah.
God of War live service. Like what would that even look like? Like
I don't know, dude.
What are you doing? Like,
well,
so
it's like them taking it's like Ubisoft taking the Horizon series and turning it into their multiplayer thing.
Oh, that's not Ubisoft.
Sorry, not Ubisoft, but that is
Guerrilla.
Sony.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's Guerrilla Games. Isn't it Guerrilla Games?
Okay. But it's under Sony then? Did I get that wrong? Yeah.
It is under Sony, correct. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Ubisoft. But anyway, yeah, because they're trying to take these big IPs that got known for doing great either single player games or open world single player games.
Yep.
People love them for that, and they're like, how can we live service this and multiplayer it? And you're like, you're not going to do it with this franchise, guys. Like you're just going to annoy the fan base who wants more of what the original games were, and not for you to turn it into some cash grab thing. But that is very much the trend of all AAA right now, and all big studios is they're all looking for their live service moneymaker. They all want their Fortnites. They're all trying to get their own version of that, because Fortnite inarguably has been like the biggest thing to happen to Epic. And it's like,
oh, without a doubt,
the amount of money Fortnite makes them versus all other forms of their industry
not even close.
is insane. So, I get why they're chasing that. It's just like you're chasing something that Fortnite was almost an accident. It kind of was an accident.
It was.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. A lot of these live service games that have propelled themselves to like where they are today, almost all of them were kind of accidents in a way. Not like an accident, but like they didn't, I don't know necessarily know they went into it thinking they were going to be as big as they were. Rainbow Six Siege, like at launch, bro, like disaster, right? Like they didn't think headshots. I remember the quote. They did not think that headshots were going to be as important or as like as big as it is. They just that's why Blackbeard was created, because they're like, oh, you just shoot at the body instead, right? So they didn't like they just kind of like stumbled into a multi-billion-dollar game that has literally like saved. And one of the reasons why Sony probably wants to have a live service take off like that, because it literally allowed them, I think, to last as long as they have. Like I think Rainbow Six Siege was like the rock of that developer and you know, for Ubisoft. But you got like, you know, Dota and Counter-Strike were mods for games, right? Like all these live services that have stuck around forever have come from like passion projects or, you know, something on the side, and wasn't really the. So I do find it kind of be a little ironic.
PUBG had its kind of rough beginnings as well, and I believe it was kind of like mod adjacent right at the start. Like the creator was kind of modding it all. It was like a DayZ mod or something initially or something like that. Yeah. So they're all these kind of like accidents or like mods that just like turn into a game. So trying to create that as a AAA studio is extremely hard because, one, they're not going to do the risky thing, which is what all the modders and these indie devs are doing, which is like, let's try this crazy new concept, and if it works, it'll be a huge success. Like, they're not going to risk that with $100 million game or a $200 million game or whatever they're spending. So all they can do is iterate on what's already been invented and try and like do it bigger and better. And naturally they keep failing because people are like, nah, I like the first game more because it's a live service game. You're trying to break into the live service world, and people are already committed to their characters in that world, and they've already invested time in it. You know, it's probably why Marathon's going to have a tough time coming up against Arc Raiders, because you go, well, I mean, like, people aren't probably going to play 2 extraction shooters. They're probably going to pick one extraction shooter and spend their time on it. Maybe you'll get bored of a Arc Raider season and then switch over to Marathon, but I don't think that's how most people are going to approach it. They're going to go, no, I'm going to pick the one extraction shooter I want and just put all my time into that one instead. Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is it's really hard to, I think, make a live service game and have it stick and be successful. Arc Raiders that you bring up is one of the few examples, I feel, of a game that actually was able to do something new and bringing, you know, and actually, because they clearly wanted it to be a live service. They did. Like, that's the reason why it wasn't going to be PvE exclusive, because they're like, this isn't working. We want our players to stick around for longer and keep people engaged for longer, right? And I think it's because they wanted live service, and they were reasonably successful with it. So it's possible, but man, it's a lot of money, and it's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear the fun news about Steam machines? And
Steam machines, no.
So
what happened?
Well,
everything, the price skyrocket.
Yeah, basically. So Valve. We heard a while back that Valve was delaying the Steam machines and their headsets, and maybe not the controllers, because I don't think the controllers are RAM dependent. Hopefully they don't have any RAM in the controllers, but basically the price of RAM, I mean, it's literally quadrupled since like this time last year, I think. Like, it's crazy how much it's gone up. And I just watched a video on these guys that were breaking down the prices of what it would cost to put these machines together, and they're like, I don't see any way they could sell the Steam machine for less than $1,000 at this point for like the low end model, due to the price increase on all the hardware stuff. And they're like, we were kind of predicting this to be like a $499 entry point thing, and they're like, that's just if
That's
they
just not
do
feasible.
that, they're going to take a $500 loss, you know?
There's no way they're doing that. Yeah. There's no way.
So they can't do it. And it's like, it's really kind of crazy because this would be the second time that Valve attempted to make Steam machines work. The first time, arguably, the software wasn't ready and there was just it just wasn't quite right, the right moment for it. This time around, you're like, if you can get the price right, the Steam Deck has done a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the trial and error stuff for them, where they've gotten a lot of games working on the Steam Deck and they've worked out all the Proton issues on the Steam Deck and people want it and they like it. So they're using the same tech for the Steam machine. You're like, cool. I could see that working. A tiny little pre-built box that can play 99% of the games that are on Steam, like pretty adequately. Not a bad idea. You know, use it as you can hook it up to your TV and it has all the console benefits of like auto on features and hooking into your speaker system and all that cool stuff that consoles do. It sounds like a great idea. It might not happen just because of this crazy RAM thing right now. Because if they launch it for $1,000, people aren't going to buy it. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on is there a market between a full-fledged PC and console. I mean, a lot of people are already turned off by the price of consoles these days for being, you know, at the price they are.
Yeah.
And would people be like, okay, is there a group of who are like, I want more power and I'm willing to pay more of a premium for it, but I don't want to pay enough premium for an actual PC.
Yeah, and with the amount of crossplay availability in games now, so like you could play a Steam machine with a controller, you know, hook it up to your TV, hook up the new Steam controller, which looks really cool actually. Like I like their old controller too, so this one's just like a upgraded version of that. It seems kind of perfect, right? You can cross-play with all your friends. You'll have your controller auto aim, whatever to do it. And you'll have an entire Steam library to go for. I hope that this RAM situation can, I don't know, get resolved, but it doesn't seem like it's going to for like years, right?
It's going to be a while. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast about basically how they're building out all this infrastructure around these data centers. And they're like, well, why don't they just build more fabs? They're like, they're building them as fast as they can. The people with the tech and the money basically have been given like infinite money. They've been given limitless orders for their tech. So they can scale as fast as they possibly can. And they are trying to do that. So, and it is still going to be years.
Yeah. It takes a long time.
These fabs, these factories can start producing chips at the rate that we need, where the memory prices can come down for the average consumer. Because right now, it's all just going to data centers. Data centers are willing to pay 10x the price. And so they're going, well, we're not making anything for the consumer anymore. And this is hitting Steam machines right now. But I believe Microsoft and Sony are probably eating a cost right now for
I'd imagine so.
Their consoles. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but at a certain point, Microsoft and Sony might just be like, hey, sorry, we're out of consoles right now. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be insane. This is just going to be a weird time where everybody's like console repair services, like computer repair services, like those are going to go through the roof, where it's going to be, hey, keep your stuff up and running, because the odds of you getting a new one. The Steam Decks just came back in stock. They're out of stock for a long time. They came back in stock and people are like, oh, you might only have a minute to grab these before they go out of stock again, you know?
Yeah.
And who knows when they're going to come back in stock, right? Because they're all using RAMs and chips and everything that these fabs are fighting. With NVIDIA announcing that they were going to ramp back up production of, I think, the 3060 or something like that, where
I think it was 3060. Yeah.
Where like that was reliant on older fab tech and those plants weren't being used in this, you know, data center race. So they're like, well, we can use those ones. So let's just produce these 2-tier old GPUs, because there's a demand for GPUs and we can't. All the 50 series and 40 series are going to, it's crazy.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy. I don't know what to think, because it's like, the demand for gaming has not gone down. If anything, it's just continuing to go up. But this is such a weird moment in history where the supply and demand economics aren't working in the game sector right now because the demand is so strong elsewhere, and there's
when the demand skyrockets so high
and
where
supply
it's
can't
not even
keep
achievable.
Up. Yeah, supply can't keep up with demand right now. And gaming, which has generally been a driver for tech, it's been one of the biggest drivers. That's why NVIDIA is a company at all, is because they've been making tech for the game industry exclusively up until AI chips, basically.
It's a small portion for them now, percentage wise.
I think they said it was like 7 to 8% of their yearly revenue was gaming.
Wow.
Gaming
I didn't know
hardware
it was that low.
sales. Yeah. It's not low, to be clear. It's just that the AI chipset production has skyrocketed so much.
I mean in percentage compared to the rest. Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. I'm disappointed because honestly, I wanted to get a Steam machine. I thought it would be cool. Because we still play. I play console with my kid and stuff. We'll play Minecraft Dungeons or the Zelda game or whatever. And getting a Steam machine on the living room setup would be awesome. You know?
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to it, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to drop $1,000 on a tiny little box with
of course not
way less horsepower than an actual computer. So yeah, great idea. Could absolutely be killed off by the current market, or maybe Valve will just shelve it.
Yeah, it really sucks for Valve because I think they'll probably put a pause on it. But
how long can you pause on it? Like the hardware becomes out of date, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't know. It's got that they're probably not too happy right now.
Probably not
Valve, and they can probably absorb it. So we'll see.
Yeah, Gabe might have to sell a yacht or something. We don't know.
Yeah.
His fleet might have to shrink just a little bit
by one or two. Yeah.
Like, Gabe, can you just give up that one crate? Can you give up the water slide yacht? There's only water slides on it. Nobody's using it. Come on, man.
No.
Yeah, he wants them all. They're all important and they all have names.
They are. Before we move on to the next topic, I need to go to the restroom.
Okay.
So I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Well, I was chatting with Chat a little bit about Crimson Desert.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming out in 2 weeks. I know I've been talking about it a bit on the podcast, but I just can't get over the trailer for this game. Because like it starts off with like showing a dude on the back of a dragon taking off on a cliff. And it's like actual gameplay footage. It's not a cinematic. And then he like turns and the view distance, the draw distance looks like a Lord of the Rings movie or something. You're just like, there's mountains like hundreds of miles off into the distance. You're like, can we just go there? Like it looks crazy big.
The size of the game does look gigantic. It looks like the size of an MMO in terms of its scale, but a single player. And that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing.
Yep. That's what we're just talking about. Mile wide, inch deep, is a problem that a lot of games suffer from. And it is funny. It's funny that I would lump games like Elite Dangerous kind of into this category where they're like, oh, there's millions of star systems. I think there's infinite or something crazy. They modeled the galaxy off of the Milky Way and it's like semi-accurate to the actual Milky Way galaxy. And you're like, that's cool. And then you start exploring it. You're like, oh, it's a star system with a star in it and some asteroid belts and I guess some bad guys that are just like the other bad guys that I fought. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like it almost doesn't mean anything after a certain point where you're like, okay, it's just all procedurally generated. So open world games with land are harder to procedurally generate, but they can still feel an inch deep. If you are fighting atop a snowy mountain versus a meadowy forest or whatever, like if you're still fighting the same kind of AI and bad guys and whatever, you're like, oh, okay, like it's, the world doesn't feel like it's changing or unique or different over here versus over there. So
we'll see. I have higher expectations than I did a couple of weeks ago. When I watched they came out with some good videos showcasing like combat and exploration and what you can just even do. And it looks like it has some promise. So I don't think I think it's a game. I think it's going to be cool. Will it be, I don't know. Will it be a success? We'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Fair enough. Yeah. There's not much more to say about it because I haven't played it yet. I haven't gotten any sort of early access to it, but I am also like cautiously optimistic and just impressed with the engine tech. I look at too many games nowadays and like look at it now with the dev goggles on. I'm like, how did they do all that? How did they make this game efficiently? And
yeah,
I have a hard time imagining that Crimson Desert has a very handcrafted feel across the whole landscape. Like I just can't imagine it because of the size of the landscape, but I don't know. Maybe they figured out some way to do it. We'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in the Starfield category of like, oh, a new planet. Let's land on the planet. Oh, it's.
We'll see. I think I'm a bit more optimistic than that. But
okay.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't played it.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I know you're excited to find out how the latest season of Bridgerton ended.
Oh my God, I've been waiting for the update.
I can't.
Was it good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. No spoilers. Don't worry. Not like it's a huge surprise in those shows where you're like, did the people get together by the end? Like, I mean, come on.
Of course they did.
It's a romance show.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
It's a guilty pleasure becoming less guilty. What can I say? I'm getting more comfortable with it.
As you should. What you like. Be proud of it.
Like what I like. You know what? There's a drought of good romance films. You know, like I could count the amount of like really good romance movies or shows on my hands. Like there's just not that many of them that can do like really engaging writing and convincing characters and not be super cliche, you know, like so many of them just fall into the ultra cliche category. So it's hard to find good ones, but Bridgerton is definitely cheesy, but
it looks like it.
It's kind of like it knows. It's sort of like The Witcher in the sense that it knows it's cheesy to a degree.
Okay.
It's like it kind of leans into the camp when it makes sense.
All right.
It's like we know we're campy, and that's just how it's going to be.
Fair enough.
So I enjoyed it. It's good. It's solid.
I watched the rest of Knights of the Seven Kingdom. Did we talk about that? I don't know if we did.
We did. I don't know if you had finished it last time we talked about it, but yeah, I've seen everybody arguing online with, you know, who they like and what's happening and all that. And I'm trying to ignore it, but yeah.
It was very well done. So I'm very happy with how it concluded. Apparently there's a lot of stories about Dunk and Egg, and we'll see what happens. There was even a reference to in Game of Thrones. It's really cool. But in Game of Thrones, Joffrey is talking about the Duncan the Tall.
Oh,
and I was like, damn, this is actually kind of neat to now like get the story, right? He's saying like, wow, he has 4 pages in this like book, and it's all dedicated to him. Like he must have been quite the man. And Jamie's like, yeah. So it's like,
okay,
it's kind of cool to be able to like see, you know, like those stories untold, right? I have high hopes based off of season 1.
Yeah. Game of Thrones is the kind of show that I would rewatch. Like I've rewatched some of my favorite shows before, but the final season of Game of Thrones, and honestly, like some of the final seasons, I would say, really kind of killed the vibe of the show to a degree.
Yeah.
And it's made me not want to rewatch it. But the first seasons are so good that like, yeah, I might go back in. You
could honestly just watch like the first 4 or 5 seasons and then just stop.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically, you're caught up to the book at that point, the books, and then you can just be like, all right, that was it. And then the entire realm lived happily ever after.
Yeah. And then there was a really cool showdown between the Night King and all the stuff. And it all went, and it was really cool and not lame at all.
Yeah, see, I haven't even seen the final couple of seasons because I stopped when they got to the books, because like I'll just wait for the book to come out and then I'll finish. I just never did.
Sorry, buddy. Isn't he friends with your favorite author?
Brandon Sanderson? No, yeah. I don't think. I mean, I think they know each other. They're friendly. Yeah, I don't know if they're best buds or anything.
Okay,
but I don't know. I don't know Brandon Sanderson either. So
yeah. Do we have a timeline on Sanderson's shows that Apple bought?
He's currently working on the screenplay for Mistborn. I think he had an update where he's at like 10% of the way done through the screenplay. He does that kind of stuff where he's like, I'm at bing 10%.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
yeah.
no. At 10%, you're like, tell me when you're at like 50%, bro. I don't need 10%.
Oh no. He has weekly updates. So he just like when he does like he's like 10%, then the next week he'll be like, I'm at 30%. You know, like the dude is an absolute maniac.
That's fast.
If there's anyone to not critique the frequency of which he comes out with his content, it's not Brandon Sanderson. He's very fast.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you want your weekly Star Citizen update or?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
I haven't been talking about SC as much lately because one, I haven't been playing it that much. And two, they haven't had too much cool stuff worth mentioning. It's not to say that the game isn't making progress. It's just, once they've injected a whole lot of the big core features, well, now we've just got small quality of life updates, and those are less exciting to talk about. But
have they added in base building and anything like that yet?
Crafting is coming in the next update, and
okay,
the next update's supposed to be here really soon, I think. I think we're going to get it quite.
That feels like a pretty big change.
Yeah, and I assume it's going to be like it's like, they start everything at tier 0, which is like, I don't know what you're going to be able to craft, but
yeah.
So that'll be interesting. I know people are looking forward to that. The funding for Star Citizen has just been insane. So
I don't get it. I don't understand. Is it the same people that are like giving the money? Is it new people that are giving, like, where is this money coming from?
I don't know. They're not going to release that financial info. I would imagine the whales account for a massive portion of it.
I would imagine so too, but like, damn, bro, like, where is the money coming from and how are they increasing?
Yeah, no, it's really crazy. Like last year, their funding goal was like they outdid the previous all-time high funding by like a significant margin. And they're already they made over $100 million last year in funding.
That's insane.
This year, they're already on a pace to outdo that.
That's insane.
So you're just like, what is happening? I've read some theories on this to a degree because they're like, how do they keep increasing the funding rate? Because they're like, it was already insane. Like eventually they're going to find a limit to this, right? But people are saying that the game is way more playable. There's been a lot of quality of life updates that don't necessarily make headlines, but they keep people in the game a lot longer now. There's a big inventory update coming in 4.72, which fingers crossed will make the game less tedious to move crap around and do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the hype about Squadron 42 allegedly maybe coming out this year still. People, they haven't talked about Squadron 42 in a while, and they kind of said that they're just going to keep their noses down while they work on it. But they do have a progress report update on it that comes out fairly semi-regularly, and so people can track the items that they still have left to do. And like one of them is like, I think ray traced lighting or something like that. They haven't injected yet. So
great.
Yeah. Hopefully that's an easy switch. You just flip on. You know what, Matt? That's the kind of thing you want to test in the last few months of game dev.
Yeah. Yeah. Ray tracing.
Let's see what this does. 50% frame rate.
Everything explodes.
Yeah. So we'll see on that front. I'm mostly excited for Squadron 42, but if they can start getting player persistence and ship persistence to a state that's more enjoyable, where your ship retains all the stuff in it, because they have talked about doing this more, and I think it is coming, it's just not in the next patch, is like when you spend all that time to build out your cool ship and all your gear and all that stuff, like having it persist
it disappears.
Yeah, they made a big change for it with characters recently, so you don't lose your stuff as easily now. But yeah, they're trying to make it more playable. They're finally starting to figure it out. But they got a long ways to go before they start hitting critical mass, I think. Still excited for Squadron.
A tale as old as time when it comes to Star Citizen.
Yeah. Still excited for Squadron though, man. I'm going to play all 40 hours of that game when it drops.
Oh, baby.
I wonder what percentage of it is cutscenes. There are some games that are like so cutscene heavy where you're like, it's got to be like 70-30 or something. I could see Squadron being that to a degree.
I hope not.
That would kind of, well, I would say that would suck because most games have pretty bad cutscenes, but Squadron cutscenes are insane.
The ones that they showed off was pretty awesome. Yeah,
it's like watching a movie or a TV series.
Yeah,
you're just like,
yeah.
But with Gary Oldman as the fleet commander, or as the admiral,
who gave his performance a decade ago.
I know, dude. Oh my god, some of these guys might be dead by the time the game comes out.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, me too. Obviously, but it's crazy to think about. Considering when some people originally crowdfunded this game, like they didn't make it to the finish line, man. It's wild. Yep. But I'm still loosely keeping track of it. There's not a lot going on these days that's like get me to like jump back in. There's a cool VR update and stuff that people were all excited about because the game works with VR. But that now we're getting into the niche area of gaming.
Super niche.
Yeah. You're like, do you like crazy Sims space games with giant persistent universes? Okay. No, that's a very small aspect of gamers. How about crazy giant persistent sim games that you can play with VR? Okay. We've gotten down to the tiny pie slice of players.
Yeah.
But I have heard it's pretty cool.
It reminds me of this guy he does VR. He's got like a whole setup for VR when he, flies around helicopters in Arma, where he does like flips and stuff like that, and he just plays, your Vietnam music, right?
Yeah.
And he's incredible. He's amazing, but that's all he does. It's just he just flies people around from point A to point B, which is really cool. But yeah, very incredibly niche.
Yeah, I like those guys. I've played squad games where like the chopper pilots are dedicated, and they're like coming in, they're like all aboard, and like we're heading to like Bravo Point. And like these guys are not, they're just ferrying people back and forth from spawn to whatever, and that's what they live for. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them. They like it because at least in those games they make the piloting controls more challenging, more realistic, so they can actually bring some skill into it, and not anybody can just jump in and.
It's not like Battlefield where you just press the W key and tilt forward slightly and just go in that direction.
Yeah. Hey man, I can fly a little bird through a tunnel.
I mean, yeah, once you're starting to get into like combat stuff, but I'm talking more like transport vehicles, right?
Oh, for sure. No, I mean like I can fly a little bird through a tunnel and do a donut with it and whatever, but like then I try and fly a helicopter in like an Arma game or something and I'm like, oh my god, I can't bleed off the speed. We're crashing. Yeah.
Pretty much.
A lot more nuance to it for sure. Have you been playing Battlefield at all since the latest update or since?
Yeah, I've been playing a couple of times, but with new games like Marathon and Resident Evil, I've kind of put it on the back. There was also a bunch of demos I played, which was enjoyable. So yeah, but I still been playing Season 2. I like it. It's quality. I just wish there was more.
Yep. More cool maps.
Yep.
One day we'll have a ton of maps.
One day.
Well, you want to wrap up the podcast there, Matt? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thanks for dropping by the Level With Me podcast. If you guys want to check out our Patreon, we have a link for that down below. And Patreon members get to come by, hang out, watch us stream the podcast live on Mondays, and then hang out for a little post-podcast chat where we are going to talk about F1, apparently, this time. Chat's bringing up F1, and I know Matt's excited about that.
I'm very excited.
But regardless of whether or not you're a Patreon member, Matt will always give you some very helpful advice at the end of each episode, and he will not shoot it over to me in some sort of clever maneuver to try and get rid of all the only small amount of work I require from him from each episode.
A small amount of work. Come up with a piece of advice every single week for 200 weeks in a row. I do my homework, Level Cap. It's called playing video games.
Right.
And by the way, last week, a lot of people are actually very happy. I had a lot of compliments saying like, good on you for turning around on level cap.
On which subject? Oh,
on
yeah,
the yeah, at the end, yeah, the advice.
Right.
My advice
Gotcha.
this week, and it's going to be related to what we just saw. Support your friends, support your boys. You know, if they're doing something and they're having a hard time, or if they're just doing something that they're proud of, let them know that you're proud of them. You know, and that you're there for them, because it's going to mean a lot. It's going to mean a lot more than you think it means. So that is my advice for this week.
It's good advice. Is this in relation to something we were talking about, or just
no?
Just in general?
No. This is just general. What? I mean,
you usually relate it to something we've talked about, and I was trying to find the common thread here. No, this is
just off the cuff, just advice. Support your boys.
All right. That's good advice. It's good advice. Guys,
scrape at the bottom of this barrel.
I know. Yeah, guys don't do that much. It's really funny. We're like, I'll be hanging out with some guys or whatever, and I'll come home and my wife will ask me like, well, how's his family? How's all this stuff? How's that? Like, didn't you ask him about that? I'm like, no. We talked about video games and politics and cars, you know, like what? Mm-hmm. Why would I ask him about like his wife? What are you?
Yeah, and the things he's doing, you know, work really. Yeah, why would I do that?
But also, we rarely. I thought of that because we also rarely go like send people random messages and be like, "Hey, good job, man, proud of you," all that kind of stuff. You know,
you were surprised when I messaged you about like congratulating you on your announcement of your game on like Steam and stuff like that. You're like, "Whoa."
I was.
Remember that? You remember that? Yeah, I remember that.
I was genuinely surprised because it's. Not only do guys not do that very much, Matt, but you don't do that much. So it did kind of come out of the blue, and I was like, "Whoa, he cares." And it meant a lot to me. You know, I think that's why we don't do it as much as dudes, because we're like, you know what, I'm gonna save it for when it matters, and then it's gonna
when it matters.
It's gonna make a much bigger impact.
Sounds a little bit like copium and an excuse
100%,
for not, you know,
100%. I can justify any of my actions, Matt. It's a skill set I have refined over the years.
Truly.
Yes. Well, everybody, thank you for dropping by the podcast. We appreciate you all very much. We will be dropping another one next Wednesday. Hope to see you guys there. And until next time, bye-bye.
Take care.